Uh, Excuse me. Good morning, everyone. Happy April Fools. It's Wednesday. I can tell today is going to be a gorgeous day. On my run this morning, it was a little frosty out and cold, but it was so nice to see the sun coming up, and hopefully it's nice and warm later today. Be nice to your families. I know you have some tricks up your sleeve as well. So excited to be back reading with all of you with The Might of Angels by Andrea Davis Pinkney. I do have permission from Scholastic to read this with you, and I'm so excited to get back to it. There will be no more farts in this video, just to let you know. Alright, Sunday, September 26, 1954, diary book. Daddy explained that the judges working in the federal courts have issued an order. Hadley has to give Negro students the option to attend the white school if we want to. Prettyman Coburn's got no choice. They have to let me enroll, or else they're going to be in trouble with the law. They're kicking and screaming about it, Mama said, but even crybabies can't stop what's right. So school integration is going forward tomorrow, I reported to Prettyman. Tonight, Daddy came and sat on the edge of my bed with the curlers in my hair I had taken to sitting up at my headboard, hoping to fall asleep that way. It was easier than waking with tooth marks on my forehead. Daddy held me gently by both of my shoulders. He was looking at me squarely, so I knew to pay attention to what he was about to say. He explained that the people from the NAACP have advised that he and Mama not come to school with me, that having them there might cause trouble. What kind of trouble, I asked. Donnie, you may see a lot of people gathered outside of the school tomorrow. Not everyone is in favor of you attending Prettyman Coburn, and there might be some who protest. The NAACP officials feel it may be harder to protect you if we're there. Protesters may feel less threatened by one Negro child versus all of us. If they see colored adults, they might get riled. This could cause them to want to retaliate. I listened carefully. The skin at the tops of my ears went warm. Daddy had more to say. Donnie, you were born with the gift of gab, but sometimes that gift is not to be shared. This is one of those times. If someone offends, lock your lip, child. Do you understand? I nodded. Mama came into my room after tucking in Goober. She explained that she would walk Goober to Bethune, like always, and that Daddy would walk me part of the way to Prettyman, but needed to say goodbye on the corner of Waverly Street and Vine Road. He would not come close to the school building. Daddy's work shift had started earlier, and Mama would be picking up Goober from Bethune in the afternoon, so I would walk home from school by myself. Just make sure you stay on the main streets, Daddy said, and keep alert. I nodded again. Twice this time to show I understood. After Daddy and Mama kissed me good night, I looked up two of Daddy's words in my dictionary. Protest, an expression of disagreement or complaint. Retaliate, to return like for like, often in an evil manner, to avenge, be out for blood, defend. Now my whole ears were warm, my neck too. Monday, September 27, 1954, diary book. If I live to be 100 and I'm stuck to a porch rocker with bad legs, 3 teeth, and a mind as rusty as a rained-on pogo stick, I will never forget today. I hope I don't wear out my pencil in writing it all, but I can't help but tell everything, just as it happened. I was up and dressed while the moon still hung above our house. Daddy had come home from his shift at Sutter's and was ready to take me to school when I came into our living room. Goober and Mama were up too eager for this day to start. Mama had pressed my dress with a mighty will, the bow too. She'd packed my lunch in a molasses bucket and wrapped the whole thing in the leftover fabric used to sew the panels into the sides of my dress. Even my lunch tin was ready to make a good impression. It's one thing to wear a new dress and stiff shoes. Walking in them is a whole nother thing. Daddy took my hand. He started out quietly, not talking, each embraced by the in-between. The sky was dressed in blue velvet. Stars decorated its cape. Our streetlights spread yellow pools onto the sidewalks. Everything was still. Even the dew was asleep. Daddy seemed to be thinking on something. His hand clenched mine. His jaw was tight. I was thinking, too. About Yolanda, about the New York lady with the black dress, about Goober, and most of all about Prettyman Coburn. A raccoon stopped me and Daddy from thinking too deeply. She peeked out from the fence post at the edge of Mrs. Thompson's tea rose garden. That raccoon moved with a sure waddle, not the least bit bothered by us. She was so pretty and special. Her black eye mask was decorated with 2 full rings of white fur, not just white brows like most raccoons. She's one of a kind, Daddy said, like you, Donnie. Raccoons are plenty in these parts of Virginia, but there was no plenty about this raccoon. I've seen none other like her. I named her right away, on account of how she moved. Nice to meet you, Waddle. Daddy and I slowed our walk. Then Daddy stopped. It was full light then, morning. Night crickets had quit singing, but the bullfinches had joined up with the whippoorwills, and there was a contest between them for who could outflute the other. Daddy said, "This is where I say goodbye, Donnie." We were still 4 blocks from the school building. I wasn't scared to walk the rest by myself, just sorry to lose the warmth of my daddy's hands as he let go. "Head on now, Donnie," he said. "Show everybody how smart you are." I pulled my lunch tin close. There was pride in Daddy's eyes, but he looked uncertain, too. He waited for me to reach Elber Street, 1 block close to Prettyman. Then he waved goodbye. It was when I got to the corner that I saw parked police cars with their siren lights flashing. There were people everywhere, gathered in a snarl, waiting. I saw boys and girls and grown-ups and the sheriff. They stood behind barricades. When I read a sign that said, "Mothers Against Integration," I knew they were waiting for me. Not once did I want to turn back. I had waited too long for this day. The clock on Prettyman's front said it was 7:30. School started at 7:45. I was hard-pressed on how to get into the school, but determined too. I figured if I went around to the back entrance where Prettyman's Fields meets with the gymnasium door, I could get inside that way. But my figuring wasn't fast enough. "There she is!" somebody shouted. That's when the trouble started. The girl from Milderton's department store, the one with the peach-colored hair, came onto Prettyman's front steps with the school bell in her hand. She clanged the bell to signal the day's start. Something about the power of that bell called me forward. I was not going to be late on my first day. I moved slowly along the street, then turned onto Prettyman's front walk, where the crowd pushed at the barricades. Even then, I wasn't too scared because I was so eager to get inside. The sheriff nodded towards one of the policemen, and 4 of them came up on all sides. They were carrying long guns. I wasn't sure if they were there to protect me or stop me. The police kept the people behind the barricades, pressing them back when they shoved to get at me. But even with all their force, the police could not keep those people quiet. The panic monster came quick, shook me hard. The protesters' mouths were twisted and angry. Their faces looked like tightly crumpled balls of paper, and oh, were their tongues ever sharp. "There goes that monkey," someone hollered. "Kill that chiggaroo." Somebody else yelled. The panic monster was holding so tightly. Shaboodle shake, 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 shake. I tried to put my ears on the sound of the school bell, but it was hard not to hear the hatred in the people's voices. Bobby Hatch and his brother had shoved to the front of the barricades. The very worst part of it, the part that frightened me the most, was that they shouted mean things about Goober in front of all the people. And she's got a brother too, but he's more stupid than any monkey. Shaboodle shake, 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 shake. In the crowd, I saw a small girl, a child much littler than me. Her face looked kind. She was holding out a flower and a note. Her mama encouraged her to give me both of them. I smiled. So did she. But as she set the note in my hand, she spit on my new shoes, and the note wasn't a note at all. The little girl had drawn a picture. It was scribbly, but there was no mistaking its meaning. It was a picture of me on my pogo stick falling into a patch of pricker bushes. Underneath, she'd written, "Scratch off the black." Quietly, I just kept repeating what Mama had taught me. Sticks and stones. Sticks and stones. I know the end of the rhyme says, names can never hurt you, but that's not true. Names do hurt. Hearing other kids yelling mean things was worse than a punch in my stomach, and it made me want to holler back, but I promised Mama and Daddy I wouldn't. More than anything, I wished. I brought my baseball bat with me, not to use it, but just to have it nearby, just to grip it as tight as I could, to give my clenched fist something to hold on to. I was afraid my dress might rip, not from not fitting me, but from holding so much riled up stuff at my insides. When I finally got to Pretty Man's front door, it looked so big I knew that if I could just get inside, I'd be all right. The policemen pressed in closer on each side of me as we made our way up the steps and onto the building. Prettyman sure lives up to its name. The wide hallways and tiled walls gleamed under the morning sun that blesses them with their light. I was starting to see why the white part of town is called Ivoryton. The policeman took me to the second floor to the principal's office, where I sat and waited and sat and had to use the bathroom but didn't dare ask. At least the panic monster had let up for now. I could see by the placard on his office door that the principal's name was Mr. Lloyd. The phones rang all morning. Each time she answered, the school secretary spoke graciously. "Prettyman Coburn, may I help you?" And each time she looked over the tops of her glasses at me. I stayed very still, watching the clock, wondering when I'd be meeting my teacher. Nobody talked to me. My lunch tin rested on my lap, and at 2 o'clock the school bell started to ring from outside. Its clang was muted by the thick windows. When I looked out, the police cars and barricades were still there, but this time a grown-up was ringing the bell, not the girl from the morning. Mr. Lloyd wouldn't speak to me or look at me even. He explained to his secretary and the policeman that most parents had taken their children home soon after I'd come into the building, and that there weren't enough students at the school for the teachers to teach. The bell was a signal to the teachers that the school day had ended. The principal pushed his chin in my direction. "This child's done for today," he told the policeman. My insides started to churn. Back came the panic monster. I didn't want to face those angry people with their signs and spitting. Thankfully, Mr. Lloyd told the policeman, "Take her out the back." We left the building at the place where I'd hoped to enter through a set of steps alongside the gymnasium that led to Prettyman's baseball field. Maybe it was seeing those bases and that green grass that put a hankering on my feet. Maybe it was the sky so big above me. Maybe it was the bullfinches free in the trees and still singing. It didn't matter. That home was 2 miles away. I took off my Vaselines, held them tight by their straps, hugged my lunch tin, and then I ran till I saw our house and Goober waiting for me inside the front fence. Mama was there too, hanging laundry. She didn't see me coming until Goober called out, "Donnie!" Mama put both her arms around me and smoothed my rumpled hair. My muffin had lost its curl. My bow had flown off while I was whipping through the streets and avenues that led me home. Mama's hand smelled like her lavender laundry starch. Their gentleness was a sure comfort. She kissed me twice on my forehead, and then by my ear she whispered, "Donnie, Donnie, sweet potato pie." Something inside me trembled open, and I cried. Evening. Pulled pork and fried pickles for supper. I tried, but couldn't eat none of it. My stomach was too tight and queasy. Goober sat with his chest rested on the table. He rocked gently in his chair. He's been very quiet all evening. He hasn't looked at me much. His eyes had gone someplace else for now. He's locked himself off. All through supper, Goober mostly watched the pickled person he put on my plate. Finally, softly, he said, "Eat, Donnie." "Not hungry, Goober," I said. All right, friends, I think we are going to stop there for today. So it seems like Donnie made it to school, but she was definitely not welcomed. And she was called some really mean names, and some hurtful things were said to her. So I wonder what's going to happen tomorrow. Will she go back to the school? Especially because nobody showed up, or all parents pulled their kids out of school that day. She was sent home early because the teachers didn't have enough kids to teach. So I wonder what's going to happen. If you have any predictions, you can post them below. I'd love to hear from you. I hope you have a lovely day and keep smiling. Love you all. Toodles.